Welcome, you guys. Welcome back. I'm Clarissa Yeager, your host for the show, Sovereign and Strong, How to See Beauty in Chaos, Shift Your Consciousness, and Create Peace Within. Today's guest speaker is the lovely Jonita D'souza. Jonita is a feminine lifestylist, an author, and creatress of Exploring Femininity. She assists modern busy women who struggle with burnout, overwhelm, and body love to reconnect with their feminine and sensual energy using the ancient Taoist and Tantric arts so they can create a lifestyle that is fulfilling, nurturing, and pleasurable. Jonita is also a certified life coach, NLP Practitioner, Master Hypnotherapist, and combines the teaching of feminine mysticism and shamanism in her work, facilitating moon circle cycles, online workshops, and sacred feminine retreats. So welcome, Jonita. So lovely to have you here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the beautiful introduction and having me here, creating this space so that we can talk about this important topic at this time of the year, 2020.
Yes. So you have such amazing content on your website, and you share all sorts of things on the sacred feminine. And you also do talk about sovereignty. So I wanted to ask you, what do you think, in your opinion, what is emotional sovereignty?
Yeah, it's really interesting because there is not much definition that you can look around for this concept of emotional sovereignty. And sovereignty in general is considered a very political concept. And for me, emotional sovereignty is a woman can experience emotional sovereignty when she is her, how do I say, when she chooses to reign over her than being reigned over, you know? And by reign, I mean that her kingdom is she herself. And emotional sovereignty is when she realizes that she has the capacity to fully own herself and sit with all of that she has. And, you know, as women, we have a very wide range of emotions, biologically and neurologically. You know, our brain says that we can experience thousands of range of emotions in one given minute. You know, in a second we might be feeling happy and then irritated and then smiley and then frustrated and angry, and all of that can happen in a very short span of time. And in Ayurveda they also say that women's emotion changes every 28 seconds. So you know, this is quite scary if you think that we have so much to experience and feel, and we can get really carried away by our negative emotions and our dark emotions. So for me, emotional sovereignty for every woman is to owning her whole capacity, the range of emotions, including her highs and peaks and the lows, specifically the dark, I call it the dark feminine, because the dark feminine for me is the space of void and the mystery. And this is where the woman can really open the gateways to her true desires. So emotional sovereignty is owning the entire spectrum of her good and as they call the ugly emotions for me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, we need to own it all.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you share about a lot are the 3 keys to rise and claim your sovereignty. So you've got 3 keys, and I would love if you would go through those. I think the first one is the Creatress.
Yeah, I was when I came across this word sovereignty, I came across few spiritual texts where they said that sovereignty is your true nature, and that made me think that if it is our true nature, then why is it so difficult to experience it, and why do we feel even uncomfortable owning that part of us. And that led me to inquire, or I would say investigate my own psyche to realize how I can own these the aspects of my sovereignty. And so I jotted it down into three main aspects where I feel like if I am able to every day remind myself of these three keys, then I am one step closer to embracing more of my sovereignty. And this sovereignty is not particularly something that I am showing to the world out there, but more in context to how I feel inside on a regular basis and how I am experiencing and expressing my true essence. So, so for me, one of the biggest keys was to accepting the fact that I am the creatress. I am the creatress. And this in itself is a very common thing to say, like, you create your reality, and you hear a lot of that in the personal development industry. And we can somehow lose focus on the most important thing is that the power of the creatress is that she has the power of choice. And if you see on a physical level, on a day-to-day level, how I broke it down was on a physical and on a spiritual level. Like on a physical level, me owning my creatress power was owning my power of choice. That I am free to make those micro and macro choices in my everyday life. Although I don't do that because of my circumstances or because of my conditionings or because of everything that is very external to me. So, and I realized the only person stopping me was me. You know, there are so many things that we want to do, and women who are watching this online show, I'm sure, are women who want to create their desired lives, dream big, want to have beautiful life, and they want to be limitless. And you think that, is that really possible? Like, oh, is that all woo woo? And I'm not even able to wake up early in the morning to do my morning ritual. Yeah, so let's start from there. So it made me realize all the little things that I have control over, because sovereignty is about also taking charge as this creatress and not becoming a perfectionist or a control freak, but realizing that I have a lot of control over small micro choices that I make in a everyday life that can help me to really fully own myself and not be dependent on someone else's reactions, responsibilities, um, or by run by someone else's stories. So for me, it was about stepping out of this victim consciousness to a witness consciousness, and which means analyzing situations, specifically the ones that were triggering me. And I know, and we all know these situations, and they are quite repeated, yeah, in our everyday life. We can even almost predict them. We are so good at it.
Yeah.
So for me, it was looking into one thing at a time, and how can I change this? What is my role? How can I shift this? Just a little bit, no pressure. Taking time for this, and also being really compassionate with myself in this entire journey, not looking as like I am punishing myself to achieve sovereignty, but really doing it in congruence, one step at a time. And that led me to also realize that on a physical level, all of this exists, and I cannot do all of this. I cannot become the creatress that I want just by looking into my physical level. I have to look into the spiritual aspect of me being the creatress, which meant that I had to claim my creatress power daily. and claim the fact that I create in this universe and I am not by myself. I am a partner in this co-creation, in this whole world, and realizing and claiming that, saying a prayer to my higher self every single day to make the way for me to step more into my creatress was a very big step for me to understand this role of being the creatress. So yeah, that's one of the most important key that I had to look into.
That's beautiful. Thank you for laying that out so clearly for us. And I like how you mentioned at the end that it is a practice that you check in with yourself every day to do this and realize the macro, you can make those macro and micro decisions and continue to choose over and over again. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, if you realize, if you really look into your micro choices, you will see that you can change so much, but the integrity has to come within you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can't remember if you said it was you can be in the witness consciousness
Yeah.
or the victim consciousness, because those two things or change the lens on how we see everything, right?
Yeah.
And so what is the second key that you would talk about?
Yeah, the second key is something that my work is specifically very much aligned into, as I teach a lot of feminine embodiment practices. So hence, one of the big aspects of claiming our own sovereignty is to become in tune with our body wisdom. And
So important.
yeah, and this is really big one for all of us, because we know that the body always knows and the body always speaks the truth. We know that. And the question is, how much do we listen? And even deeper, the next question is, how much do we listen and respond? You know, because we listen all the time. We cannot ignore. When I don't believe when someone says that I need to learn, deepen my intuition and all of that, because all of that already exists within us. The problem is that we just don't respond. And what happens when we don't respond regularly to our body's voice, inner voice, and those nudges that we get, those symptoms that we get in the body, our body begins to unconsciously create this relationship where she is no longer in a trusting relationship with you. And that is not a good thing to live within. You know, we will live in this body, and she is constantly telling us through sensations, what are we available for, what are we not available for, through all those butterflies, uneasiness, um, calmness, the sexual arousal, and all of that, you know. And when we continuously ignore her messages, she shuts down. It's just like another person. Imagine if someone is trying to be in friendship with you and you are good friends, and then you stop responding to their calls. They're not going to like you anymore.
Right.
So for me, it was also about reconnecting with the body through specific feminine embodiment practices, so that I could build safety and trust back in the body, because it already exists. A lot of us women do not feel safe in our body. We do not feel safe to express our sovereignty, because we've had different kinds of traumas. We've had past hurts, relationships, or so many different aspects of trauma. And one of the important things is to feel safe in the physical container, and that requires us to have a regular, I would say, everyday embodiment practice, so that we build, you know, even if it's for 5 minutes, so that we start returning back to her, to our home, our temple, and feel safe. And then when we express from that, our external world begins to shift. And again, this is in correlation to the first key. The Creatress power is much more solid and foundational when we feel safe to express. And so specifically, I talk about womb wisdom for women, because that's our feminine power center. That's the source of our creation, our passion, our desires. And she speaks to us in great extent. But in modern day, the wombs of women have become damp and cold because we've not accessed that very powerful part of our body. So one of the important things to claim our sovereignty is to have a regular womb connection, so that we begin to understand, bring safety. And one of the important things to also understand is that it's not a linear process.
Right. Healing it's not.
Yeah. When you start listening to your womb, many times it will not make sense. And you have to start to trust that. And I have known for myself and for the other women that I've worked with is that when we begin to listen to the womb wisdom, and specifically when we are these entrepreneurs, we source our creation from our true authenticity and a true unique expression, which is not a competition to anyone, but a co-creation with the existing consciousness. So you can achieve that safety and trust through your womb connection.
That sounds just so juicy. And yeah, I agree with you. As a practitioner of Chinese medicine, I see a lot of cold, damp in that area, especially in women of all ages.
This part of our body has been demonized for some reason. We only concerned about having a flat stomach. But what?
There's so much more that goes on there, especially with the energetic and emotional component than just outside of the physical, physiological functions and the anatomy.
Yeah, that's true. There's so much to explore in our female body.
That is the truth. I'm still going back about having feeling multiple emotions in 28 seconds that you said earlier. Like, wow. But I think I've done it.
We all can relate to that, and we are not crazy.
That's the body wisdom and the daily embodiment practices for helping to cultivate your body wisdom, I think, is really important. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. It's also about understanding the concept of pleasure for yourself, because a lot of sovereignty has been distorted in that aspect of our body pleasure. So when we begin to understand and connect with our body, then we realize that our pleasure is ours, and we do not need to have a relationship for pleasure, just for that aspect. And many times when we do not even know our own pleasure, how can we expect it from others? So there's a whole lot of, another summit.
Yeah. But what you just said, that helps to reestablish that trust with our bodies that gets shut down.
And the whole idea that we can enjoy our body, we can listen to her, we can respond to her, we can become curious, we can be this little girl that we were, who believed in, I don't know, that she had a body of some magician or something. As little girls, we have crazy imaginations, and we do not have to take all of this so seriously. We can bring curiosity and innocence to it.
For sure. At any age and any experience.
Yeah.
So you have a third key also, which is the dance of the masculine and feminine. So I look forward to hearing you chat about that.
Yeah. So the third key is building up on the first two. So when we are able to step into energetically, physically, spiritually into our creatress role, establish safety and trust in our body, and then we are ready to be expressing it on the outer side as well. And that is a very fine dance between masculine and feminine, because masculine is very much the rational, the doing, the directive, the tangible, the active principle of becoming, whereas feminine is the intuitive, the passive aspect, or the active aspect of being. So when we are able to embody the feminine aspects of our body, then we can express through authentic, through a source of authenticity on the outside. And this means that taking actions with discernment. Um, so one of the examples that really strikes me right now is that some time ago there was a news about a sovereign woman. Did you hear about it? Um,
No, I don't think so.
yeah, and that's a really great example. So this so there was this woman in Singapore, and she didn't wear mask, and she was told a few times to wear the mask, and she kept saying, I'm not going to wear mask because I'm a sovereign woman. I don't belong to you, to the government. I'm a woman of free will. I'll do what it pleases to me. I'm not going to wear mask. And I think she was arrested, and there was whole political trial, and the internet ridiculed her and all of those things. She was fined $10,000 and all of that. So if you actually look up sovereign woman on internet, this is what is floating around, well, in the last couple of months. So my heart was really saddened to see that, because there was a woman who was trying to actually claim her sovereignty in one way or the other. She didn't feel what she didn't want to be forced to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was, punished by the law and all of that, and ridiculed by the rest of the world. So, so it's not about condemning or favoring what she did. But that made me think that it's so important that we express our sovereignty through discernment, because in this day and age, right now, politically, we are not able to express a lot of sovereignty. But in our own environment, we can safely practice it through our small projections. So utilizing the energy of the masculine discernment is very important, and taking action from that space. When we are connected with our body and body's wisdom, and when we listen and respond to it, we are able to express our actions not from a place of need or from a place of someone else's approval or validation, but from a place which also feels safe, because many times we will be ridiculed. A lot of women have the past life memories of being burnt as witches. And look what happened to this sister once again in this 21st century. And she is a doctor. So, she wasn't like a crazy person. So that makes us think that how far can we go with the expression of our sovereignty? And a very crucial thing to remember is to respond and not react. We have to become, I also work with Mary Magdalene energy. And I like when she says that, there's a quote in Bible as well that says that you have to become pure as the dove, but wise as the serpent. So your task is to become pure as an innocent as this white dove, and and also embody the serpent at the same time. So to be in that space requires you to be very firm in your masculine as well, and understand the where your masculine behavior is coming from, because a lot of our masculine energy is coming from a proving point. that we are busy, we want to prove, we want to get things done. We are this modern day women, we can do it all. Yeah. So we're the superwoman and all of that. So looking at our daily actions that we take and understanding if we are taking those actions from a point of trigger or a point to prove someone, does it feel true, authentic? And many times masculine action also means non-action. So that's where the discernment piece comes from. Many times we might be called to, okay, here is a moment not to act because I can feel and sense danger here.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean that you're a coward, it's discernment. And that comes with building a very strong relationship with our masculine as well, and understanding the underlying forces that allows us to be in our masculine. So yeah, do you have any questions in particular about it?
I just like the fact that you just brought up discernment. I've never heard it talked about in more of a masculine energy, but it is an action, you know, it is an inward action. And so and I think people right now, especially, are learning how to discern for themselves. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, in the Indian mythology, we have the Shiva and the Shakti, and the Shiva is the masculine representation, and he's all about discernment. It's all about, you know, standing focused and directed. So the feminine is the intuitive part, but the masculine is this. The Shakti is the intuitive part, and the Shiva is the discernment part of how and where I would like to focus my energy and direct my energy on. So there can be a lot of confusion about discernment and versus judgment. So it's not judging, but yeah, there's a fine line as well.
Right. And yeah, it's thank you for giving that example, because it reminds me of like the infinity symbol, and it's just kind of pulling the energy from each to walk the middle path, so to speak. Yeah.
And when I was practicing this, many times my discernment, my masculine was telling me not to act, and I was like, no, but masculine means to act, it's action. But then I realized, oh, hold on, I'm practicing discernment here, because many times inspired action can be a non-action.
Yeah.
And that is important to also honor.
Absolutely. That's a really important point. So thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes non-action is action.
Yeah. It's a very difficult action.
Yeah, I think, and you know, I'm here in the state, in America, I'm in Chicago, so there's a lot of action happening. And at the same time, you know, that maybe some more of the inaction needs to take place also. So there's a lot of discernment happening here as we're recording this. So yeah, but so thank you for that. Those 3 keys were amazing. So creatrix, body wisdom, and the dance of the masculine, divine masculine and divine feminine. Yeah. So no big deal. And ongoing work.
It's just a lifetime of work. Not a big deal.
Yeah, we are constantly evolving. Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, I know you have a wonderful gift for the audience, that you brought up the womb wisdom, and so the audio guide that you're giving people has something to do with that. Do you want to share a little bit about it?
Yes. So the free gift that I chose to share is an everyday womb revival audio guide, which is a combination of visualization as well as a guided meditation. It's a 7 minutes of audio guide that you can have it on your phone, download it, and start using it on a regular basis to build that connection with your womb. As we spoke about, that womb is this rigid and damp space, and a lot of us have hold a lot of trauma in there. And through this process of listening to the womb, we are able to build that connection, that relationship once again. So yeah, that's the audio guide, and it's only 7 minutes long. So You can hear it anytime when you're doing your chores, but doing it on a regular basis and noticing, listening, and responding to what your womb speaks for you for the given day is a very beautiful practice in stepping more into our creatress, our sovereignty.
Oh, that sounds so good. I can't wait to download it and listen. So thank you for sharing that with everybody here. And I think it will serve a lot of women. So thank you for that. And thank you so much for being here, Jonita. It was nice. It was so lovely to connect with you and to add your voice and your wisdom and your guidance to this wonderful female panel. So glad to have you.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's such a beautiful topic, and I'm so happy to be able to contribute. And you are a beautiful space holder. Thank you for doing this work.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you to the audience. Do not forget to click on the link to get Jonita's free gift. And I would love to hear what your favorite part of this interview was. So just hit reply and let me know. And stay tuned for another episode of Sovereign and Strong. So we'll see you soon. Bye.